Kaiser, that appears to be the same shirt as you wore in Monday's video. Why, yes. That's because I'm filming all of these week's videos in the same day. And editing them. In the same day. I love you guys. Consider this video to be a small blueprint for future concept and rework videos. See, one of my biggest issues with DBD is that the game is becoming so bloated with repetitive powers, perks, and concepts in general. There's only so many ways you can write hit survivor from range, or make Jin go faster, or twerk on Wesker before you start overlapping way too much. And the simplest solution to this problem is to add more mechanics and status effects. Whenever I do concepts in the future, whether that be rework ideas for killers, or that be actually coming up with new killer concepts or perk concepts, I'd like to have a little bit more to work with. So I'll always have this video linked in those videos, and it's also going to be relatively short, so that you guys can just come in and check and be like, oh, okay, this is what this does. This is what they were talking about. I go by they, them pronouns, by the way. I know that there's a lot of you guys who are new here, and that's why I haven't been like obsessive about correcting you guys in the comments, but I'm non-binary and I go by they, them pronouns. So thank you guys. I love you. Anyway, here's the 5 status effects. I have 2 for killer, 2 for survivor, and 1 for neutral. And I tried to include a powerful one and a fun one, and then the neutral one is just all fun. So that's the way I saw it. If you guys have any criticisms, you know what to do. Forgot to put my glasses on. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, first killer power, sore limbs. When affected by sore limbs, action speeds for the killer are reduced. Think of this effect like a reverse fire up. So all of your Jin breaking speeds, pallet breaking speeds, wall breaking speeds, your vaulting speeds, pickup animation, and I added a new one, your hooking animations are all reduced by a certain percentage for a certain amount of time, depending on what is used to inflict this upon the killer. So I think the maximum, however, should be something like 15%, and the maximum amount of time for it should be 15 seconds. But if we ever get the chance to play test something like this, I think it would be very interesting if we were able to, you know, work with it and see what else we could come up with. The second killer status effect would be called Lost Trail. And if you can come up with a better name in the comments for that one, I would appreciate it, because this was the best I could. But the killer affected by this status effect can no longer see scratch marks or pools of blood. This one is a little more straightforward, and I think it's not as powerful, but it is still powerful enough to where a max of, say, 20 seconds, maybe 25 seconds would be in order. Nothing should ever cause more than that, because then I think it would be a bit too crippling. Scratch marks and pools of blood are very important because they present a risk to the survivor. So it's just something that I think that we should think about whenever we're implementing this, but I do think that it would be interesting to have in the game. Kind of like a blindness effect almost, yeah. Moving on to survivor, the first one we have is Restrained, and I can already tell you this will probably be the most controversial of these 5, but we're gonna go with it anyway. Think of this like the sister to Incapacitated. Incapacitated means that you are not allowed to do gens, heal, or cleanse totems while you're affected with it. Restrained stops you from vaulting pallets and windows, dropping pallets, and leaving the exit gates. I do, however, think that Restrained should be limited to killer powers. I don't think that we should give it to perks, or, I mean, you could maybe do add-ons depending on who the killer is, but I especially don't think it should be given to perks, because I could only imagine the kind of hell that would be wreaked with characters like Spirit, Blight, Nurse, that could, that if they can inflict this upon you and then get like the easiest follow-up of their fucking lives. I think it should definitely only stay to killer powers. And the only killers right now that I would give this effect to would be Twins, Pinhead, Slinger, and Doctor. We could potentially have restrained powers in the future, but I think avoiding them being given as perks is the right way to go. Secondly, we have Panic. Panic is accompanied by the survivor either screaming, covering their ears, or looking around nervously or frantically. These actions interrupt whatever the survivor is doing, and then the survivor will leave scratch marks even when walking, and all noises the survivor makes, breathing, healing, repairing gens, grunts of pain, etc., etc., footsteps, are all 25% louder. And I think 5 to 15 seconds are good lengths of time for these status effects to be applied, for this status effect to be applied. But again, we can talk about that in the comments. And finally, we have the last status effect, Confusion. Both killer and survivor can be affected by confusion, and anyone affected with this has their movement swaps. So forward is backwards, backward is forward, left is right, right is left. I think this would be hilarious. I think it would just genuinely be one of the memeiest status effects ever, if not the most meme status effect you could put in the game, because it would just be so funny to, like, the killer's chasing you and then you somehow inflict them with it, and then all of a sudden they start walking backwards, or the survivor like goes to vault a pallet, they get inflicted with it, and then they just start, like, they moonwalk into you, or, you know, just something like, I just think that would, I think it would be funny. And I think it'd be incredibly fun to play around with. And that's the video, guys. I'm sorry this one is so short, but I wanted to get right to the point and introduce these, as I have a series of universal monster killer concepts I'm working on, and I wanted this video out before I publish those, as I'll be using some of these status effects in that video. This is also why instead of gameplay, I'm using my face, because taking a gameplay and editing it. Oh, you know what? Actually, yeah, I could. But let me know what you guys think down below. I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.